Hello, I'm Leon Irving, and this is my games development project game which I've made in Unreal Engine 4. It is a sci-fi single-player first-person shooter that I've called Interloper. When we load up the game, we're met with the main menu, of course. Options to play, open the options menu, and to quit, which is so far in a prototype state. When we press play, the game loads into the initial hub area, which begins with a short tutorial on the main basic game controls, which includes the movement keys and the mouse looking keys, and abilities to jump and sprint, so the player can move around the world. To shoot, the player press the left mouse button and can press R to reload their weapon after they've shot ammo, and they can also aim down sights to get a better view of what they're shooting at with the right mouse button. So the player can pick up objects which are indicated here, which replenish health and ammo depending on the object. And of course here's a test dummy enemy to show what happens when the player shoots the enemies. To interact with objects in the world, such as this weapon we can pick up, we press E, which immediately switches to the weapon we picked up, and we can switch between each of our weapons in our inventory with either the mouse wheel or by holding down Q on the keyboard, and this weapon wheel pops up, which allows us to use the mouse while holding down Q to select an icon which corresponds to the weapon that we want to switch to. So for example, the pistol has infinite ammo and such, has a small infinity logo here, for example, so we can switch that and switch back to the assault rifle. And so to allow the player to progress through the levels, they have to follow these waypoints, and which points them towards the objectives. This one is simply pointing the player to a certain location which they must go to. So in this hub area we have a choice between various portals upon which take us to different levels, and so the levels can be completed in any kind of configuration. Here is the first level of the game, where we spawn on this landing pad area. We are met with our first objective, which is to collect keys to open this large door here. If we try and interact with the door, it tells us again we have keys to collect. If we interact with this object here, that's a key, and such. We now have an indication of how many keys we have left to collect. And of course on the heads-up display, the player is shown the location of the rest of the objectives they must collect. And so the aim of the game is to travel to these objectives. Here we're met with the first enemies. These ones are just melee enemies that get close to you and deal damage, small amounts of damage when they attack you. And these ranged enemies, of course, they move towards you, and when they're in range they start shooting. And of course we've seen this enemy up here, which is a sniper enemy. It fires slowly and does lots of damage, but stays in one position, and so you can avoid its line of sight. Here's a full ammo pickup. And the health pickup. Now that we've collected another key, we of course only have one left out of the 3 total that's required. So this is a sniper rifle weapon which zooms in very far and is very accurate as well, but it fires slowly. Of course, an important facet of this game is the overall atmosphere, and so this was achieved with lighting and visuals as well as audio. For example, indoor sections of the game have added reverb, which sort of gives more of a sort of ominous cathedral-esque sound to the sound. There's another enemy which is bigger and tougher and fires grenades which have an area of effect around the enemy. As you can see, the mountain wheel also pauses the game to allow the player time to choose which weapon they next want to use. Course, when the player takes too much damage, they of course die, and then they're met with this "you've died" screen where they have the choice to either return back to the main menu or to load the last checkpoint. They choose to load the last checkpoint. Throughout the map, there are areas where if the player enters them, it allows them to return to once they have, if they choose to respawn after they die. And so it sort of allows the player to continue making progress throughout the level. Each of these weapons is developed from the same base weapon class, which contains all of the code required for each of these weapons to work properly. And so just various variables, objects, attributes such as the sounds, the damage they do, and down to the model the weapon uses, can all be controlled by inheriting from one base parent class. This of course allows new weapons to be added or weapons to be changed without adding so much more extra code. Final objective. Now that all objectives are complete, we now just need to return back to the door. We need to open first. Of course, to get back much quicker than walking all the way back, we can use these jump pads here to catapult us back to the start location. And such, we can enter the door. Our next objective is to traverse this tower, where we will be met with the final boss fight of the level, which of course each level will be conclude with a large, fight of some sort against one big enemy. As the music changes, we see this is the first boss, which just stays stationary and shoots bullets at us. To dodge, of course. Shoot back at it. Of course, there's multiple phases. So, now in phase 2, he has more health, his model's changed, and he spawned a few enemies. And the arena has shrunk in size. If we were standing on the arena that was disappeared, we would have fallen into this, had to start the fight again. So there's some element of learning how each boss works, and before we can completely defeat it, because it can be unexpected. Have other abilities. Now in phase 3, goes to the hardest. So you have the smallest arena, most enemies, and we failed and such. Below last checkpoint, the boss is reset, and we can replenish our health and ammo if needed, and we have another go. Of course, the boss enemies are designed to be reasonably challenging. grueling fight. Boss is destroyed and goes dormant, and he falls to the ground, and there is a portal inside of him which we can now jump into, and it takes us back to the hub area for now, where of course we would choose our next level and continue the game. However, this is prototype, and that's where the game ends for now. So thank you for watching, and this has been my game Interloper.